To most people, Toyota is known for being the #1 purveyor of boring economy cars and rugged off-road trucks. But thanks to the guiding hand of a key executive and a team of people at a workshop known as GR Racing, Toyota has begun producing some of the most driver-focused cars on sale today.
Fantastic car, sir. Care for a test drive now?
The 2000s were somewhat of a sports car dark age for Toyota. With that said, it was a period of massive financial growth. In 1999, the total volume of car and truck sales was just over 3,050,000 vehicles. At the end of 2008, less than 10 years later, it was 7 million. Now this GR Corolla you see right here started its life just like any other Toyota Econobox out there. It wasn't until the masterminds at GR Racing poked their grubby little fingers and made this truly one of the fastest cars to hustle on a back road.
So the thing about this car is that it's really easy to drive quickly, but it's really difficult to drive smoothly. And I'll tell you why. The shifter is insanely springy, and the throttle response is, well, it's just really eager. Anytime you tap the throttle, it's just ready to go. But it kind of matches the personality in the car in that this car just wants to be wrung out and tossed around a canyon road. The steering is an electric rack, so it's not exactly the most communicative. But with that said, you could just chuck this car into a corner and it'll just oblige. It's happy to go faster and faster and faster. The brake feel is pretty good. It's not fantastic by any means, but it's got some great stopping power. The suspension is definitely on the stiffer side. There's not any adjustability whatsoever, so you're just kind of stuck with really stiff suspension all the time. And on these back roads, it really shines, but driving this thing every day, it's a little harsh. With that said, the damping is pretty fantastic. This thing puts power to the ground the entire time while driving, and it's truly inspires so much confidence. One of the coolest parts about this car, though, is that you can adjust where you want the torque to go. You can have the split go 60-40, front to rear. You can have it go in track mode, which is 50-50, or you can have it go 30-70 with a huge rear bias. And actually, you can feel it on a straightaway. When you floor it, you can feel it pushing you in the 60-40, whereas in 30-70, you can really feel it pushing. I tend to like it 30-70 a little more. When you're really hustling on a road like this, you don't feel it as much as you want to, but it kind of gives you just a little bit more of a push feel rather than a pull, which is kind of fun. But I think it's a really cool feature in a hatchback like this. You just don't really get to see that too often. My time with the GR has been seriously a lot of fun, but it's leaving me feeling a little bit numb. I mean, this car will truly do anything you want. You just chuck it and the car will handle it, but it has a little bit of a numb feeling. But as a Swiss Army knife, there's truly no better car. And for its base MSRP, this thing, I doubt there's a better car for this road.
When you first get in the car, it feels immediately familiar. It's a Toyota. There's really nothing to it. Then you lean on the car a bit more and it shrinks around you, inspiring huge confidence. You can really get the sense that the GR team poured their heart and souls into making the GR Corolla a fun car, because that's exactly what it is. Thanks to the confidence-inspiring all-wheel drive system and the most powerful 3-cylinder engine ever built, the GR Corolla feels more like a junior 911 turbo than it does a sporty hatchback. It's crazy to think that a Corolla, of all cars, could be this competent on such a tight road. I mentioned it earlier, but the performance of the GR is leagues above what you'd expect from a package like this. That thirst for performance came from none other than Akio Toyoda, the heir to the Toyota company and the grandson of Kiichiro Toyoda, Toyota's founder.
Large volume sales are great, but what's the point if all your products are copy and paste commuter cars? Because sales drive revenue, and revenue takes you racing.
That's a concept Akio understood well from his grandfather. He knew it would take a concerted effort to bring Toyota out of the dark ages. Luckily for us in Toyota, Akio met a very important person in the brand's research and development sector who opened his eyes to the thrill of driving. That very important person was none other than master driver Hiromu Naruse. A tenured development driver, Naruse truly made cars his life's purpose. Akio couldn't have chosen a better mentor. Naruse's legacy at Toyota is insanely distinguished, assisting in the development and release of some of their most cherished products, like the 2000 GT, Toyota 7 race car, the 90s MR2, the Supra, and the Lexus LFA.
Not to mention, he has the most miles driven on the Nürburgring by a Japanese driver. A legendary factoid for a legendary driver. Naruse agreed to teach Akio to drive quickly, but during their first encounters, he was famously quoted saying snappy comments such as, "A person like you doesn't know how to drive a car, so I don't want you telling me about cars when you don't even know how to drive one." Damn, that hits home. And from then on, Akio put his proverbial foot to the floor and really dove into racing.
He began learning by lead follow and slowly but surely gained the competence to enter full-on wheel-to-wheel races around the world. There was one problem. If Akio used his real name, he would have been met with harsh criticisms by the suits at Toyota. So he did what anyone would do and just went back to his desk and focused on beefing up the production of his hybrid cars.
Just kidding, he did the opposite. Akio decided to race under the name Morizo.
Once Akio was able to hide his true identity, he set off and started racing for a team he named after his e-commerce website, Gazoo. Akio went racing not to cure his insatiable hunger for speed, but to make his product better. He truly embodied his grandfather's words of,
"The aim of racing is not to satisfy our curiosity, but rather to enable the development of the Japanese passenger vehicle industry."
When Akio first began racing under the name Gazoo, he received zero support from the factory, so he had to take things into his own hands. He bought 2 rental Lexuses, modified them, and entered the 24-hour Nürburgring endurance race in 2007. All he had were the teachings of master driver Naruse and a whole lot of courage. He was quoted as being absolutely petrified during the race. That first race spoke volumes to his zest on improving that 2000s boring car stigma.
And that's what's so interesting about Toyota racing during these years. They actually never set out with the intention to win, but rather to finish, but more importantly, to learn. How many race teams do you know can say that? And it begs the question, if more manufacturers took this approach to racing and sports car development, what cars would we be seeing on the roads today?
You may think that turning a base Corolla into a GR is easy peasy for the gargantuan and multifaceted Toyota. But you'd be mistaken. The entire production line is bespoke and requires special technicians to work on this limited production car. We see this regularly at companies like, say, Ferrari, but not Toyota, a company that churned out nearly 8.7 million cars in 2023. Creating low-volume cars is somewhat of a difficult task for Toyota since all of their tooling and factory space is for large-scale economy cars, not high-performance vehicles. The differences between the base Corolla and GR are too numerous to list, but just know that they only produce 49 GR Corollas a day at their factory in Motomachi, Japan. The GR also has 9 additional feet of adhesive and 349 additional spot welds to increase rigidity.
For its intended purpose, the GR Corolla is an absolute knockout. Toyota set out to make the most exciting and competent hatch in the market, and I believe they succeeded in doing so. Setting aside the high sticker prices these things were when they first hit showrooms, these things at their original MSRP are huge value for money.
The fact that a major automotive superpower like Toyota would go out of its way to build a car like the GR Corolla should be a cause for great celebration among enthusiasts. Without an emphasis on massive power, expensive materials, or high-tech gadgetry, the GR Corolla places all of its focus on one thing: being a joy to drive. As every good story has its hero, in this one we have Akio Toyoda to thank. Who knew that one fateful meeting with master driver Naruse would turn Toyota from the preeminent manufacturer of boring cars to one of the most enthusiast-focused brands in the world? From endurance challenges as Gazoo Racing to winning at Le Mans in WRC, Toyota has done more than almost any other brand in the past decade to keep the automotive fun flame burning.
Without a doubt, that will be Akio's legacy. And whether you know it or not, we're living in a golden age of Toyota yet again.